Well, we have new reaction to the president's inaugural address. While these speeches typically include calls for national unity, some say this one sounded more like a thinly veiled attack launched from the presidential podium at his political opponents. Let's listen.
We reject the belief that America must choose between caring for the generation that built this country and investing in the generation that will build its future. We do not believe that in this country freedom is reserved for the lucky or happiness for the few. The commitments we make to each other through Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security, these things do not sap our initiative, they strengthen us. They do not make us a nation of takers, they free us to take the risks that make this country great. We, the people, still believe that enduring security and lasting peace do not require perpetual war. We cannot mistake absolutism for principle, or substitute spectacle for politics, or treat name-calling as reasoned debate.
Well, Leslie Marshall is a syndicated radio talk show host and Fox News contributor. Chris Plante is the host of The Chris Plante Show. Welcome to both of you.
Hey, thanks.
Good morning.
All right, let's get down into the nitty-gritty here, guys. Leslie, the president used the word together several times in his speech. He said we are moving forward together. Did you hear a unifying speech?
Yes, I absolutely do. I mean, this is the first president to ever met. Chris is laughing because he's like, okay, well, how can I disagree already? I haven't even said it yet, Chris. The president has first president ever to mention gays. The president, I think, really is being realistic about how divided we are as a nation. But I think he's also clearly stating we're not going to accept, political differences as an excuse for not getting things done. This is what you elected me to do, and this is a foreshadowing certainly of the State of the Union and of what he plans to do. And I think he plans to be much stronger in using more executive orders and power that he has without having to go through Congress in the future.
Chris, what did you hear in the speech?
He hopes to unify the left, the far left, the extreme left, and the radical left in a coalition that he will use to divide the country along lines of race, class, gender, sexual preference, whether you're an immigrant or not an immigrant. And it's going to be a rolling fist fight between now and the midterm elections. That's what he indicated, because he knows that he cannot get this radical agenda through with Republicans in control of the House. He knows that he needs to seize control of the House in the midterm elections so that he can advance his agenda. Otherwise, he has no hope of doing that. The standard method and the tactics used by President Obama and those of his ilk, for that matter, the standard tactic is to divide the country, pit us against one another, and pick fights to, as they euphemistically describe it, draw contrasts between himself and the Republicans. That is, demonize his enemies, as he refers, not opponents, on the other side of the aisle. And it is going to be, you thought you've seen division over the last 4 years. The president has promised to triple down on it and make it much more severe.
All right, so you heard very different speeches, but let's dive down into some of the exact things the president said and see if we can parse them. One of the things he said, Leslie, we reject the belief that America must choose between caring for our elderly and investing in our children. Is that a false choice? I mean, that is exactly what the election was about. Can we do both? Can we afford to pay all the entitlements for the elderly as well as invest in our next generation, as he said? Leslie?
I don't think what he was saying was that, that it needs to be a choice, and I don't think it has to be a choice. What I heard was that, there are people out there, and certainly elderly people that have called my radio show, and they're really offended, being called somebody with their hand out and somebody who feels they're entitled. No, this is we've decided in America to care for our elderly. And I don't know about you, but my Social Security check's going to be about $200 a month. And that's not going to even buy me a corner of a garage in any city or, heck, any suburb or rural town at this point. So the reality is we as a nation have set up a system to take care of people, and we can't just you know, mock them and turn them away. That's more of what I heard the president say. And I do think we have a responsibility to take care of our children and to take care of the elderly. This doesn't mean that big government takes care of everyone. This means that we work together as a nation, and that is unifying, Chris.
Chris, what did you hear when the president said that we reject the belief that we have to choose between taking care of the elderly and investing in our next generation?
You've got to choose to provide government programs that are affordable, and the president chooses everything. You know, if you must choose one from column A and one from column, he takes all of column A, all of column B, all of column C, and says, you know, let somebody else sort it out. Your callers who are older people, this is another straw man that's been set up by the Democrats. Nobody's calling a Social Security recipient a mooch or, you know, saying that they are leeching off of the system. That's not what's going on here. What we're trying to do on the rational side of the aisle is have a civil and adult conversation about what is affordable and what is not. Barack Obama pretends that you can continue to expand on Medicare and Medicaid, cut $716 billion from it, never mind that, and Social Security, while continuing to expand the nationalized student loan proposition and give everyone free birth control and free everything else. He's buying votes. He's picking fights. He knows that it's unaffordable over the long term, and he is pretending that it's not when we all know that it is. He also completely avoided national security. We had hostages killed in Algeria. He didn't talk about job creation. You can't do all this when nobody's working, and this is just a farce, quite honestly.
Sure.
It's completely
and lots of people say, Chris, that the inaugural speech is, you know, to look at a brighter days ahead and not to talk about all of the things plaguing us. But on that note, Leslie Marshall, Chris Plant, thanks so much for the debate and sharing what you heard in the speech.